Good morning, Michael. I'm so happy to see you. It feels like it's been a long time since
eight
last
years,
week,
8 years ago.
8 years ago. I'm happy to see the sun is shining on that side
Yeah.
and that you are, yeah, I'm trying really hard not to
And
ask
you
how you
mean
are,
that I have a roof over my head? That's because
that you
that's
have a
the
roof.
key.
Yes. And a cup
Yeah.
of coffee, I assume.
Or tea. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
So today, this month in the Wisdom Seeker Society, our
Hmm.
theme is being heard. And we just had a bit of a check-in before we went live. And I feel that this is quite a theme for you as well at the moment to,
I
there's
think
a
it's for
fine line
everybody.
for everybody. Definitely for
Why?
me.
Why
Yeah.
is it for everybody? Because in the digital world, that's the main churner, money churner. The
Yeah.
more attraction you have, the more you're heard, the more you're followed,
Mm.
which is not even doesn't mean anything. If you can
Yeah.
lure in with false promises people, you are the king in the regular world. You would be chased, but in the digital world, you can just pretend and go use psychology to get people to get attracted to you.
So
And
we can't do that though. That's not a world for us, for
no,
me.
no, no,
You know.
no. Digital, our neurodiverse. It's the digital world is the least neurodiverse. Only the survival of neurodivergent people is, which they they segregate. If they're extremely shamed and hurt, the kids,
Mm.
they use all their life force to adjust to system relevance, and they're super system relevant, but they don't know who they are. Or
Yeah.
the other kids like me and
Mm.
you, that we grow up and we had to fit in. We had to we had to be, and so we had to be human centric, very human centric, because system relevant we weren't uh, good enough, right? So
Yeah.
the human centricity has forced us to be human centric, which was good with animals, with
Yeah.
art, with animals, art, the world, nature.
Yeah.
We had to that was balancing us,
Yeah.
our
It's also giving
distortedness.
us a place to connect to. So we
Yeah,
connect with others,
exactly,
whether it's a tree, because the trees are losing their
exactly,
leaves, so they're coming out
exactly.
again, and I'm getting very excited. Or the porcupine, or not a
Yeah,
porcupine, a hedgehog that comes to visit, or
yeah.
talking to you, um, and maybe it's not just neurodiverse. Maybe it is. Well, what is neurodiversity?
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
all
we don't
about
want
what
to.
I,
Exactly,
yeah.
and also what I really realized in the last week or so is that we are hypersensitive, which we know,
Mm,
and that means we are just 10 year in advance, 5 year in advance of people till they get. It's like gay
mm,
people, the worst thing, yeah. And then all of a sudden now gay is nothing. Nobody even talks about gay anymore, right? They're
yeah.
talking about neurodivergence and binary and
Mm,
furries. So no, no, the thing is what we and in the art community, it didn't matter what race you are. That's why it's so human centric. It doesn't matter in the arts community what race, what gender you are. Hey,
mm,
we need a king that is an old ancient king. Oh, Michaell, you play it. It doesn't
yeah.
matter. It's about playing. It's about the performance. It's about the collaboration.
Expression.
That's
Yeah.
we always say the collaborative creator species that we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So around all of that, there's also some silence. I know you and me differ a little bit on our
No, I'm not differing.
abilities. Yeah. I love silence. You are starting to understand what I mean with silence, not as a
Yeah,
way of isolation, but within connection, there can be silence, and it's almost like a deeper form of connection for me. It's there's an intimacy in
yeah. When you
being
read a
silent,
book and your husband is doing something
knitting.
else,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, and you just sit in the same room and it feels good
Mm.
because you're balanced and content and resonating. He doesn't tell you what book you read. You have to read. So
Yeah.
you read your book, he reads his book, or he
Yeah.
watches TV or whatever. It's just being close.
Yeah. And in that same aspect, this concept of slower conversations where we actually, you know, take time to integrate others' voices and our own. Because if we in such a rush all the time, it feels like there's such an overwhelm. There's so much noise around us, whether it's from the media or, you know, and it's almost in that contrast. To be heard is to be silent, to kind of be able to step back and
Mhm.
say, have you noticed? Does that make sense?
Yeah, always questions are always the key.
Mm,
Especially I told you in the last 2 weeks, by the way, or spirits,
mm.
people say, don't write that long. Like my last dyslexia thing
Yeah,
article, right about jobs, right?
yeah,
There was a lot to say. There was nothing old, rehashed. There was a lot to say. What's happening in the job community for us, especially for us.
yeah,
And people say, oh, tell me in one word. They always want to shorten. Certain things you can shorten, but other things you cannot shorten. So you can say we do wisdom seeker, we're looking for wisdom and awareness, right?
yeah.
Yes, that's a big context, but they
Mm,
can look in 100 million different ways. So when
mm,
specifically Michaell wants to say something or write about something or speak about something, it might be wordy. It might not be, but it might be wordy. And especially with my dyslexia, and because I have such a hard understanding others, I
mm.
always be very detailed, but I get a lot of, uh, um, you know, uh, accolades for like this chief from the senior citizen center said, and she's a big lady, like a top lady, and she said, "You're brilliant, 100% clear. There was nothing I couldn't understand."
Yeah.
And and so it's not too short. It's not tell me real short the keywords, but
Mm,
and it can be. It's everything. We don't focus on one, but it's not like okay, now we are in the digital world and we need to just say log lines about the
yeah.
story. We need to
Yeah.
just say short little things. I think
There is an element of simplicity that makes it easier for us to be heard sometimes.
yeah,
But, that doesn't mean that, as you say, if there's so much to say, um, sometimes that's the only way for us to get it out and also process it ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I it's funny because I went through a lot of state offices,
Mm,
in the last 2 weeks, and I went to her and I said, they said this. She looked over it and she says, in 1 minute, not even.
yeah.
You need to do this because of this and this. I understood the whole. I talked to 3 different agencies.
Yeah.
She pulled it together in one because I think we have lost to communicate, but by being so system relevant and using system vernacular and not saying, "Hey, I like you, Michaell," instead
Yeah.
of like, yeah, this is whatever.
Yeah. Well, in all of those words and all of those things, the meaning gets lost because there's no direct
Yeah,
connection. So,
yeah,
and similarly in silence, sometimes you don't need those words to even make that connection or to
exactly.
relay meaning, and
Yeah,
it comes back to meaning.
yeah,
Which I always we always kind of come back to dialogue or awareness or kind of how do we look at expression,
hmm
and in that there's there's gaps and there's simplicity and there's maybe not even a lot of words or a lot of words, but to see the person for who they are.
yeah. And also, it's not in the words; it's in the spaces. The most
That
communication happens in the spaces, not in the words that you choose.
yeah,
So, uh, if you just resonate with the universe and you resonate with in that, and then just you speak whatever, but it's the spaces that we actually interacting more, and they find that out more and more. They found that out in the 60s or something, and now
yeah,
it's getting more and more that they get aware that the spaces we communicate with spaces through spaces, not the words. And
And it's
actually, we make
funny.
us not understand other language. We make us not understand other languages because we think it's about the language. But if we
Yeah.
just hear French or Italian or Spanish, you get a feel of. You don't need to know what the words. You don't need to know it. You know.
Yeah. They help a little bit, but there's so much emotion also, in Italian
Yeah.
or French. And it's funny, the kids have been home now for a while. If I listen to my son watching YouTube, there are no spaces. They don't use spaces when
Yeah.
the YouTube influencer is busy playing Minecraft, and it's a high pitch, and it's very fast, and it's like, it's crazy how they control, I think, the dopamine rushes and the emotion of a 10, 11-year-old, getting involved in this thing. It's very manipulative, I think.
But you are young, so compared to me, so I see that the youngins in your age, I think you might have been more hyper before too, and you calmed down because I've talked to young a little bit than you, but when I talk with the kids from the University of Alberta, um, I they're first of all they're much wiser than we were, and then and they're calmer. They calm down. I think they find out it's so much blah blah blah, and your son will probably also. It's right now, and then all of a sudden he will calm down, and perhaps he processes more information through the quickness, and
Yeah.
then once then he gets safer in the thing, and then he calms down.
I hope
What's
so.
what?
I hope so, because it's very unsettling, that whole listening to. I can't do it for much.
But you're such a good example for him. So you just be you. You be your 101, and you're such a good example. I mean, you calm me down. I didn't sleep, but I wanted to talk to you because it
Yeah.
calms me down. Um, what I want to say about we say being heard.
Mm.
Being heard is an extension of what we are. We
Mm-hmm.
are all 101, becoming sadly back always to the 101. And nature doesn't make mistakes, so she made us 101. So we don't need to seek meaning. We need to unveil the meaning that we're born with.
Yeah, because we're
And when
born.
we don't do, when we try to adapt to a system construct cog, we're adapting to you a woman, I'm a man. We're adapting to that.
Yeah.
Then we get away from our natural mattering, which everybody matters the same. Everybody's one. We all matter just because of existing.
Yeah.
And so when you go forward at what the system requires, you abandon your one of oneness. And what the thing is, if that doesn't mean we can't work in systems. If you know your one of oneness, you can say, my one of one is this. I'm good with animals. I'm good with this. I'm good with that. And said, where can I be system relevant? See, that's the right thing, not to learn something what the system needs, and then And so what the being heard is the highest possibility that you are heard is to be you, to find that one of oneness, that what differentiates you from everybody else, from 8 billion people.
Do you think that being, connecting to your own one of oneness and then moving into a system, or to be able to then navigate the system from that
Yeah,
space?
better, much better. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't, at some point, you notice the lack in the system,
Yeah,
surely.
you cannot put the system higher than you,
No.
because human consciousness is growing since we talked 14 minutes. We all grew, you, me, and the whole world grew.
Yeah.
So the systems, we defined the problem with systems. They're outdated. They're outdated and driven by it's never enough no matter what. So they're exploited by the system leaders for money and for power and for fame, because it's never enough. But by doing that, everybody gets hurt, because we have to adapt to outdated systems. We still have to fill out forms. In this digital world that is so great, nobody ever should fill out a form anymore, but we
Yeah.
still do it. We still have to do it. Everything you get now you have to do, and now you don't. You have to use the birth date like this, birth date like that. It's just insane. And
Yeah.
and I think that's the problem, is really the outdated systems that need to be secondary to us. Because, and the reason why, I'm not just saying that, oh, no, humans are better than systems. No, I'm saying humans are better than systems, not better than systems. We created all the systems. We created every single man-made system.
Yeah.
And systems are irrelevant without humans. Humans need systems, but they can do it. So if all the survivor shows and everything, you drop humans into the forest, they figure it out. It doesn't matter how much they are like a city slicker. You know what I mean? They can actually do that. Yeah.
But and yet, all systems are limited. Even if we update them, they only have a finite.
And that should be taught.
Band.
That should be aware. People should be aware of it. Hey, these are our playpins. This is not real. This is like the digital world or the news or whatever. That's not real. It's just a play. It's like Monopoly board. And then we play on the Monopoly board and see what's going on. And it's about winning. It's okay to win. It shows you, but not to win that I beat you, but to win that I see my abilities, my skills. It's like the Olympics actually was built like that, not to beat somebody, but that the little towns could actually see, let's say somebody is a spear thrower, and he was always good. And he said, wow, now I can compare how the spear thrower on the other end of the town can do that. And they can compare each other and see how they can. Of course, they want to be the strongest. They want to show their strengths. They want to see the best spear thrower. That was not to beat the other person into submission.
Yeah, there is still that element of competitiveness, which is almost for me the other side of collaboration. So to learn about each other and to grow in the process is the ideal outcome.
It's the true competition. That's the proof.
It's the true
you compete to see your best one-on-oneness. He competes, and if spear is nothing, I need to go to bows, and perhaps in bows I'm better. See, I can figure out my one-on-oneness through that. But if it's about the only thing stops at when we're starting to become aware, just to beat the other person.
No, and that's where the shame comes in as well. We kind of touched on shame earlier, and the power of the unspoken word. So for me, the unspoken word is also often, as growing entities, we feel shame or guilt or feeling less than, not enough, or whatever, and suppressing that, and then having to deal with ways of that unspoken words, that unspoken expression manifesting in dis-ease or in the body or in the psyche. Judgment is a difficult aspect in our society as to how we stop ourselves from expressing ourselves because we're scared of judgment.
Also, what is judgment? Judgment is a system relevant, aligning to the system relevant norms, right?
Yeah.
Hey, women are weak, period. We don't need to discuss this. They can never be so strong. I mean, it's just insane. Oh, dyslexic people. Oh, they're wackos. They're just. And I always say that, I don't know if I told you this. I had a good metaphor. I said, when somebody says about judgment, right? And somebody says, I saw an alien. And everyone said, you're conspiracy theorist. You're crazy. That's always to shut up, right? Conspiracy theory, a cult. There's certain words they shut systemic words
Mm.
that were, because we don't even know if a cult is something bad when it was whether originally was a cult. But today in systems, a cult is bad. So
Yeah.
you're a cultist, you are a conspiracy theorist, you're just a woman, a man, you're a stupid man, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's like either a stupid man or a stupid woman. It's just you use it however you want it in systems. And
Yeah.
so if a person says, hey, I saw an alien. Look how that thing. Now listen, this is really great. They said, I saw an alien. I said, no, you're cultist, you're crazy, whatever. I said, my wife talked to it. Said, you guys are both, you're in a cult or something. But the neighbors came over and talked to the alien too. And I said, nah, I cannot believe that. You make that up. That's what you're doing. They made a picture. I'm just saying, do you see from totally cut off, if it's one person, all of a sudden 5 per person have seen an alien, have interacted with an alien, have photographed the alien. Now, it's hard to deny that,
Yeah. Yeah.
or judge that.
Yeah. See, judgment is kind of the opposition to curiosity, because if I'm judged, then I'm not going to go, or if I have a
You never
judgment,
go deeper.
I'm not going to go deeper, or I'm not going to, explore more around the subject, or taboo. I was actually just trying to have a look at what cult, and as you say, it's early 17th century, originally denoting homage paid to a divinity. Inhabited.
So what is if Jesus is the cult? Is Jesus a cult then? Is religion, is the Catholic a cult or Protestant,
Yeah. And
then every religion is a cult. According to that, every religion is a cult then. See, and this is how we system abuse, because in systems, it's never enough no matter what. So we need to have fighting other people to either or binary. And because we don't have the opposite of it's enough, which would be you being human. Being human would be enough to be a human. So you need to get a roof and enough to eat. You don't need to get rich, but the opposite of it's never enough, no matter what you do, is being human. But
it's also, we are enough, so you don't need to get anything. In nature, if you were in the situation that you are now, you could build yourself a shelter, and you could find your own food. But you are in a system, which is a city or a town or a society, for that matter. Therefore, you have lost your creation ability, if that's the thing. But you can't.
I was conditioned. I don't need it. Remember, we talked about it. The dating website, right? I'm conditioned because, hey, I don't want to be Me Too movement. I can't say, Michaell, hey, you're such a nice person, let's go for coffee. Me too. If I go on a dating site, it's in the context, so I can go on a dating site. But the dating sites really worked, and they have figured out they brought people together. But now they make more money when people scroll. So they actually the algorithm counter that you actually meet the right person. They want you slowly to get in. This is insane. So they say you need a dating site, right? And then they say, hey, it's not about dating anymore. The context isn't important anymore. We want you to scroll the most time being on thing, because we make more money with the advertisers.
And there's no value. No one gets any value.
No value. Nobody, and everybody loses. Everybody. You might make it a little bit money, but people figure out. If people become aware that it doesn't work,
Yeah, you lose all of it.
It's not just dating sites. It's a lot of sites that sell something, but they don't want to give you what they sell, because they want you to be online, because they make advertising.
Yeah. Which is so sad, because if you have a message to share or value to provide, you then lose, because if you use any of those tools or techniques, it doesn't align with or resonate with you anymore, and therefore none of the value or the authentic kind of things are put out there, because
never experience what you intend to experience. You
Mm.
never experience what you intend to experience, and it is all. It comes always wrapped up. It's never enough, no matter what. So
Yeah.
you spending more money, more time, not to be creative, to absorb,
Mm.
and what the result is, you feel never enough. It's
Yeah.
never enough, no matter what. You feel inferior. That's why I say that we need to be very aware, because digital world is beautiful. You and I can talk, blah blah blah, but
Mm.
we have to be very aware that the digital world is the least human-centric construct we created. Because
Mm.
in system, you can eliminate somebody or cancel somebody in the system.
Mm.
Try to cancel, me or you in the system, regular system. No,
Yeah.
because you call the police, and if somebody would attack you and whatever. But in the
Yeah.
digital world, I can do everything. See, I can just make things up, you know, and say you need that. You need that. That's what you want to be really successful. And what I also really see, for example, we know broadcasting only 1% makes 98% of the money, right? Of the whole money.
Yeah.
And people selling, we make you money in podcasting. How the hell would you know that when one and so they sell, they hook on into this what the system spreads,
Mm.
and then they said and they sell that, and there's no outcome, there's no value increase other than you fail, and you
Yeah.
have you go through trauma and all this stuff. That's the only growth that you have. That's not a good growth when you're not dancing. This is like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it,
Which is back to lack and okay, it must be me because I'm
yeah,
not doing it right. Yeah.
nobody would sell something that doesn't really work
Mm.
if there was an enoughness. If there
Yeah.
was an opposite to it's never enough. What is the opposite? I keep asking everybody, what is the opposite? It's never enough to, whatever we do. And
Mm.
it should be what is enough that whatever we do, it's being human. That's why I say it's being human. I say but it needs to be integrated. It cannot be, because right or wrong is integrated in systems, binary, right? Linear, good, bad, uh, 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 truth, not truth, whatever. It's
Yeah.
all opposite, good
But
and
those are
evil.
integrated into systems, but now they're also being integrated into human centricity. So
Yeah, and that
people,
doesn't work.
and that's where the judgment comes. So now I am right and you are wrong, therefore I
Yeah,
am better and you are worse,
exactly.
or whatever
The
it is.
generalization. We
Yeah.
we we are so dependent on being system relevant, because
Mm.
why does everybody need to be system relevant? If somebody who doesn't wants to just take care of his animals or whatever, or was just reading, and you
Yeah.
don't need to be in the digital. Why can't they not? Why do they have to? And it's just
Yeah.
forcing in and out. I mean, I have such a hard time with a cell phone with my dyslexia. I
Mm.
can work only on a big screen with a full keyboard. I can hardly use a cell phone other than picking up and say hello and making
Yeah.
a photo. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
What I do. I don't text on. I text on the computer and then push it to my.
Oh, yeah.
I put,
Yeah.
yeah. I
And this
can't.
is
I can't
another
do it.
interesting point. There are also always other options, and
Yeah.
like being dyslexic, for example. Um, there is, you can function just as well in
Yeah.
the same environment, but looking at it from a different angle. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just your process. It's not just, it is your mind works so beautifully that it sees this bigger picture
Yeah.
element of the
Yeah.
world. But the thing that is being taken out of that is, oh, you can't decipher the things that we've decided needs to
We
be.
decide. See, that's what we
Yeah.
generalized and decided. See, that's why we need to keep on saying. Every
Mm.
time you generalize humans, you segregate them.
And
You
try and
make the
fix
system
something that's not
stronger.
broken. It's not broken. It's just
Yeah.
different,
Yeah. It's just,
And that for me is so sad, having children in a system that is
yeah.
broken and making sure that they know that there's nothing wrong with them. It's
Yeah.
actually that they have this superpower, and it's not making it up or pretending like it's something that it's not. It really is a superpower, but it's
Yeah.
not being used to its full potential. Imagine dyslexic minds got to have the stimulation that could grow that amazing aspect of their minds. But the focus is on, oh, you can't do this little one thing that's actually useless.
Cog,
It's a
the
cog.
bring to the
Yeah,
cog on the wheel. That's like, it's
exactly.
like really, and it's not totally denying our one-on-oneness, because even the neurotypical people are also denying their own. If they are
Yeah,
coggy, they have an easier to cog than you and I have, right?
yeah,
But they when they cog, they deny their one-on-oneness. How can
yeah,
you do that? So being heard, I think, is really that we really all band together, and that human take back their power, update the systems, our artworks, right?
yeah,
And but I think to be seen and be heard is the highest form, is being self-aware of about your one-on-oneness, and
exactly.
realize that everybody you encounter is one of 8 billion. That
Yeah,
makes it so much more, how I really say, as long as I say it now, I enjoy every human that I meet, because I look
yeah,
at it differently. I don't look like cogs. I don't, oh, is it a cog? Is it a cog? Is it a cog? No. I I look at them, they're one of one. It doesn't
yeah,
matter how I'm reacting. I don't feel good about this person or not. Doesn't matter how I feel. But I also say at the same time, there might be somebody on the bus drunk or whatever, and I feel not comfortable, right? But I'm still saying this person is a one of one. See, I say both, and the shift can only happen when you see both sides, the yin and the yang, and that's it. See,
exactly.
and
But
then
but
I
it
see,
also has to do with your lenses that you put on. So
yeah,
am I, like, for I think for both of us, it's really interesting to connect to that one of oneness, to see who
yeah,
the other person really is, and not
yeah,
just to see an Austrian man sitting
and
in
yeah, oh, a South
California or
African
whatever.
woman,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, but yeah, and then maybe that is the journey of life, is to connect to as many of those one of
yeah,
onenesses
yeah,
that we can.
yeah. Absolutely.
Michaell,
And
thank you.
I thought it's great. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for humans. I
Yeah.
wouldn't, like, I couldn't become 65,
Hmm.
my age. I could not, because, dyslexic don't get old. And I couldn't have that age if it wasn't for humans, because the systems let me down all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they will. That is, they are, by definition, they are finite. They're not
I think
there
it's appearance.
to
It's also
support.
appearance. I appear
Yeah,
normal and you appear normal. But when it comes to system
yeah,
relevant, then we say, hey, she doesn't fit in. Oh, no, she cannot
yeah,
wear this. You have to wear a black coat. You have to wear, it's like,
yeah.
and that's what I say. So I think we're on the right path.
I think so. We are on our path. Our
Yeah.
one of oneness is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
So thank you once again for sharing your space and time with me today. We
Thank
will
you.
we'll carry on with this conversation on Monday this time.
Yeah.
We're going back to schools and different timings. So thank you, and
Endless,
I'll see you then.
endless information on schooling. We work on
Yeah,
education. So
yeah.
updating them.
It's been time, a long time.
Yeah, 1845, when we
Yeah,
do the same systems thing, we have to shift.
exactly.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.